Good morning, everyone. How are you doing? And with that music, like very, very stylish, this is another day at Connecting Kern. We welcome you to this community platform. And today we welcome our guest, Megan Steinert. How are you, Megan?
Hello, I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing fabulous. It's been a great week. You are the third show of the platform, which I'm very excited. And actually, I'm excited because also you were part of it when I was kind of like working on the details of what I was planning to do. You were part of like conversations that we had in the community, and so thank you for being on the show.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And very cool. So one of the things we do, Megan, is like we roll right away to the thought of the day. And I, on purpose, we publish it with like no context too much to see how it resonates to people. So the thought of the day today was discipline today creates options for tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And just to give you a little teaser, Megan, obviously you're in between projects right now, but I know that you're getting into life coaching and helping people kind of turn the key on to get going to where they have to go. Yeah. So what does this phrase tells you?
A lot of things come to mind for me in regards to discipline. One of the top two are sleep and body movement. So if I stick with sleep, sleep can come in. Sleep can be hard for people, right? And so creating good sleep hygiene gives you an opportunity literally to tomorrow make better, healthier choices for yourself. And so one of the ways that I have created a discipline in my life in regards to sleep is once I go to sleep, I do everything I can do if I wake up in the middle of the night, not to grab my phone and start scrolling, not to turn on the TV, not to engage in ways that are going to reinvigorate my brain to keep thinking and keep going. And I use sleep meditations then that I just listen to help ease my body back into a state of rest. And even if I'm not sleeping, deep sleeping, as long as I am closing my eyes, being still, my body is still receiving some nourishing rest, which then means in the morning, I'm probably going to be a little more mentally sharp, have a better physical activity level, and have, more patience for I'm a mom. So more patience for my children, more patience for just the world at large. So having some discipline in regards to sleep, I think is really important.
That is fascinating. What a way to do it, to put it like in perspective of just today. If you sleep today better, tomorrow it gives you options, choices, because that's exactly what the phrase what we were talking about now, that is like we were actually talking that that's exactly what it says, that it's like discipline today creates options for tomorrow. So with the sleep is one of them, and make better choices for tomorrow. And I completely understand, by the way, about the parenting thing and like having a little more patience, because sometimes I know that my kids are around, it seems like it was a war zone in my house, and like everything explodes. Yeah. And but it's adorable. Well, but with that in mind, so that's a great segue. So the discipline today creates options for tomorrow. And your line of work, what are the kind of like the disciplines that you would recommend to people? Obviously, you mentioned about sleep, and I want to land into the life coaching, something we spoke about last time we were having a conversation. Like, you have found a window or an opportunity where people could actually be aware of these kind of comments. Like, look, if you have this discipline, it's going to help you for tomorrow, which is kind of like what somebody like a life coach would be. When did you find out, or what was the calling? When did you find out, like, there's a space where I can help some of members of the community by doing this?
So one thing I have learned about myself is that I thrive when I am in relationship. And so how I show up for people has been really important for my own mental and even physical and spiritual well-being. And in showing up for my friends and for acquaintances and even employers, and helping them understand that I am here for support and that I want them to feel seen, heard, validated, people would ask me, gosh, are you a therapist? You should be a therapist. And I kept hearing this over and over again. And I really started to take that to heart, especially when it started coming from people that I had just met who would say to me, gosh, I feel like you are a really good listener. Thank you for giving me the time to express myself. And I feel like you really get me. Uh,
Mhm.
and the more people said that to me, because, when you hear something from a friend or a loved one, you wonder if there's a bit of bias to it. You don't always take it to heart because you go, well, they love me already. They're supposed to say stuff like that. But then when it starts coming from people you don't know well, people you just met, then it gives you pause and you can think, oh, maybe there really is something to this. And I believe that a fundamental need for humanity is to be seen, to be understood, to belong somewhere, to have someone know them, right? Just to be known is really important for mental and spiritual well-being. And so people in today's day and age, there's just this air of everything's got to be positive. There's got to be a bright side to everything. And sometimes it feels a little gaslighting when somebody, if you try to express a hurt or a pain or a struggle, and somebody says, well, at least it's not as bad as this thing.
Oh,
Or,
yes.
there's a reason for everything. And
Yes.
that isn't always the most supportive or the most helpful thing to say. And then people feel like somebody's just brushed them off. And so I have found a need for people to not be brushed off. And it gives me great joy and it gives me purpose and passion to then be the person who doesn't brush somebody off, who really listens, who genuinely wants to know someone. And that takes vulnerability from the other person, right? Like you have to be willing to be vulnerable if you really want to be seen and known. And that is a discipline in and of itself, being raw, being open, being authentic, telling people your truth. And it's scary. Not everybody's going to hold your truth well, but that's why I'm here. I want to hold your truth well, right?
That's right. And what a lovely platform for you to be there for someone, because sometimes, like you said, I don't want to call a family member. I don't want to call somebody that already knows me, that has my story. Sometimes I want to call somebody that just I can be listened, I can be seen. And like you said also, this thing that everything, it's all about feeling good about yourself. And no, sometimes things are challenging. And one of the biggest advice I got with somebody when I was kind of like flying high and then I wasn't flying so high, and I kind of asked them, instead of giving me, oh no, poor of you. No, no, he told me, it's a daily grind, bro. It's a daily grind. You have to fight for the moment, to win the moment, like something that we mentioned here. So I love what you say. It doesn't have to be always perfect, but if you can canalize or funnel your thoughts to what can be most productive for yourself, I think that's something that, in that moment, it's gonna be. There's this book called The Four Agreements, and the fourth agreement is do the best.
It's one of my favorite books
Yeah,
on
it's
the
helpful, right? Do the best the day you can. Like, for example, if you have a flu one day and you have to go and do something, well, you might not be as great as when you're not sick. But that day, if you can do the best you can do based on what you have in front of you. I would like to, that was wonderful. I have a feeling that we could do a whole series with you, because you open so many doors that have like very, very cool content. But to close the segment, I would like to ask you if there's one or two things that you can point out that are usual roadblocks for people to get going on a project or something they want to do. What would you say is like kind of like something to be careful with, about when you're kind of like when you're kind of hesitating to move forward with something?
I'm going to take it back to the four agreements since you just mentioned them. One of the four agreements is don't take things personally. Mm-hmm. And I think that if we have a roadblock of something, one of the things that holds us back in any situation is fear of judgment, fear of failure. And so not everybody's going to love everything that you do all of the time. And what we all need to know about that is that what other people do is always about them. and the life that they're experiencing and the lens through which they view the world, it doesn't actually have anything to do with me. It doesn't have anything to do with us when somebody else makes a decision or a choice or a comment. It is always about whatever their reality is in that moment. And I think that's a really important thing, because that can release you from the self-judgment then too, where is this going to be good enough? Is this, what if I fail? Well, what if you fail? Try again or move on, so I think placing a lot of importance on other people's opinions and other people's reactions is a lot of time, even in the future, even if we're assuming that that's going to happen, that's where we limit ourselves. And just remembering that, like you said, if we're doing our best, that's what matters most. If we're making sure that we are putting our best foot forward today, my truth is that I've done my best today. And if somebody accepts it or not, doesn't actually have anything to do with me. It's where they are in their life, how they interpret things. And then I can release myself from the pressure to be perfect. I'm never going to be perfect. It's not going to be perfect. The project I'm working on isn't going to be perfect. Whatever the roadblock is, I'm never going to achieve perfection. Just never. And knowing that if I'm doing my best and understanding that I am who I can rely on for my own validation. And then that is going to help me move forward and take the steps that I need to take to be successful.
That is golden. I want to tell you that, first of all, I'm going to root for you as a life coach. I'm so excited of your career.
Thank you.
The approach that you have resonates a lot with me. To kind of like do a living example of something, being vulnerable. You touch on something that even as I'm launching this platform, the perception of others and what has happened based on the career that I've had in my life or the potential success or not, it's always a potential roadblock. But you gotta move forward. Like you said, that doesn't define anything about what you're doing, but it defines about where they are in their lives.
That's right.
It was pure golden nuggets that you gave us today. I really appreciate you, Megan. And we love to have you in the future in the show. We're going to say goodbye to this segment. There's going to be a link that you can share over in YouTube Live. And again, you touch on so many good things.
Well, I really appreciate this platform and the opportunity, Leo. This is special.
Oh, absolutely. I appreciate that too. It's so great. And this is the kind of things, like sometimes it's just to give a window, an opportunity to, share things that we usually don't share on a daily basis. But yeah. I could go for another 15 minutes, but I know we got to go. And also we gotta stay with the track of keeping segments, kind of like in certain times, because we understand how people are busy and they consume content these days. But we thank you. And when you're ready and you have your next project, please come visit us and we'll let the world know about it. And man, Megan, really, what you're doing is God's work, because that's going to be needed for a lot of people sometimes to have that bouncing space with you.
Thank you.
Very cool. Okay, we'll see you next time. And we'll see you on next segment of Connecting Kern. Bye-bye.